The sky above Seoul burned red as the massive alien ships hung motionless in the clouds. Kim Jae-soon pressed his back against the broken concrete wall, feeling the heat from the fires that consumed what remained of the city. His rifle felt heavy in his hands, though he knew it was useless against the enemy above. "Colonel, they're breaking through Sector 7. His radio crackled. Lieutenant Park Min-ho's voice sounded tired, defeated. 3 years of fighting had worn them all down too. Nothing. Jae-sung looked through his scope at the alien forces moving through the streets below. The coalition soldiers moved with confidence now, their silver armor gleaming in the firelight. They no longer bothered to take cover or move carefully. They knew they had one. The war had started when the first alien ships appeared over Earth's major cities. 5 different species working together, calling themselves the Hegemony Coalition. They had demanded Earth's surrender within 24 hours. When humanity refused, the bombardment began. Earth's space fleet had fought bravely. Admiral Ryu Dongwook had led the defense of the orbital stations, while Captain Lee Hung commanded the fighter squadrons. But the alien technology was too advanced. One by one, the human ships fell silent. The orbital defense platforms crumbled under the alien assault. The ground war lasted longer. General Kim Young-soo had organized the defense of the Asian continent. While Major Jo Yoon-ji coordinated resistance in the cities, engineers like Oh Hae-woo had worked day and night to keep the weapons functioning. While communications specialist Han Ju-young tried to maintain contact between the scattered units, but it was not enough. The aliens had weapons that could melt. Through steel like it was paper, their ships could appear and disappear at will. Their soldiers seemed to know exactly where the humans would be before they got there. Now, as Jae-soon watched the alien soldiers patrol the ruined streets, he heard the sound that meant the end. President Lee's voice came through every radio, every television, every communication device still working on Earth. People of Earth, the president's voice was broken, exhausted. After 3 years of resistance, we can fight no more. Our cities are destroyed, our fleets are gone. I hereby surrender Earth to the Hegemony Coalition. All military forces will lay down their weapons immediately. Around Jae-sung, his soldiers began dropping their guns. Some were crying, others just stared at the ground in silence. The war was over. The coalition commander's voice followed the surrender broadcast. His words were translated by machines, making them sound cold and emotionless. Humans of Earth, you have fought well, but now you must accept your place. Your world belongs to the coalition. You will work for us now. Any resistance will be met with death. Jae-sung set his rifle down gently. He had fought in every major battle of the war. He had seen his friends die one by one. He had watched humanity's greatest achievements turn to ash. Now it was finished. But as he walked away from his position, something caught his eye. A small piece of metal, no bigger than a coin, lay half buried in the rubble. It looked like it had come from one of the alien ships. Without thinking, he picked it up and slipped it into his pocket, far beneath the city. In bunkers so deep the alien sensors could not detect them, Dr. Choi Yansu was already at work. She had been waiting for this moment. Listening to the surrender broadcast with satisfaction rather than despair. Around her, thousands of scientists, engineers, and military personnel who were supposed to be dead continued their secret work. The bombardment of the surface had been terrible, but it had also provided perfect cover for the most ambitious project in human history. The surrender went perfectly, she told her assistant, Lee Dae-ho. The aliens believe they have one. We can begin the real work. On the surface, the coalition forces began landing in massive transport ships. They moved with the confidence of conquerors, setting up bases in the ruins of human cities. They began strip mining operations, treating Earth like any other resource. World they had conquered. The alien soldiers patrolled the streets, but they were not worried about resistance. The humans had surrendered completely. Their leaders were dead or captured. Their military was destroyed. Earth was just another conquered world now. What they did not know was that the surrender had been carefully planned. Every detail had been worked out months in advance. The underground facilities had been prepared long before the final battles began. The people who mattered most had been safely hidden away. The Coalition celebrated their victory. It defeated the most dangerous species they had ever encountered. Humans were known throughout the galaxy for their stubbornness and creativity, but even they had limits. Even they could be broken. As the alien ship settled into orbit around Earth, commanders began planning the next phase of occupation. Earth would be stripped of its resources. The surviving humans would be put to work in the mines and factories. It would be just like all the other worlds they had conquered, but in the deep places beneath the surface. In the hidden rooms and secret laboratories, humanity was already preparing for the next phase of the war. The real war was just beginning. 6 months had passed since the Coalition claimed victory over Earth. The alien soldiers had grown comfortable in their new home. They patrolled the ruined cities with less care now, their weapons hanging loose at their sides. The humans were broken, scattered, defeated. What could they possibly do? Commander Vextar stood in his command center overlooking the remains of Sol. His species, the HFY, had conquered 17 worlds before Earth. None had given them trouble after surrender. The humans would be no different. "Sir, we have." Another report, his aide said nervously. "Patrol Unit 7 has not checked in." Vextar frowned. "When did they last report?" 6 hours ago, sir." They were investigating the old industrial district. This was the third patrol to go missing this month. The first 2 had been found days later, their bodies scattered and their weapons gone. The Coalition had assumed it was wild animals or unstable buildings. Earth was a dangerous place after the bombardment. "Send a search team," Vextar ordered, "and double the patrols in that area." What the commander did not know was that Lee Daeho and his team had been watching the patrol from hidden positions for hours. They had studied the aliens' movement patterns, their communication schedules, their weapons and armor. Every detail had been recorded and analyzed. "They're getting suspicious," whispered Naeem Mujin, crouched beside Lee in the ruins of an old factory. "Maybe we should slow down." Lee shook his head. "We need more equipment. The research teams are depending on us." Below them, the alien search party moved through the rubble cautiously. They had learned to fear the dark corners and collapsed buildings. Too many of their friends had disappeared in places like this. The humans struck without warning. Silent weapons fired from multiple directions. The aliens' advanced armor meant nothing when the humans used their own energy weapons against them. Within minutes, the search party was gone, leaving only empty armor and scattered equipment. In the underground laboratories, Engineer Ohayan Wu carefully examined the latest pieces of Coalition technology. Each captured weapon taught him something new about how their enemies thought and fought. The aliens were advanced, but they were also predictable. "Look at this," he said to his assistant, Yutehan. "They used the same power coupling design. In all their weapons, if we can find a way to disrupt it." Tehai nodded eagerly. "We could make all their weapons useless." Sabotage began small. Mining equipment would malfunction in ways that seemed like accidents, as power generators would fail during storms. Transport vehicles would break down in remote areas. The Coalition engineers blamed poor maintenance or the harsh Earth environment, but the problems were not random. Communications expert Han Gyun coordinated every attack from her hidden command center. She had access to the Coalition's own communication networks, thanks to equipment captured by the surface teams. The aliens did not even know their messages were being intercepted. "Target the mining operation in Sector 12 tomorrow," she told Captain Kang Soyoung. "They're moving their heavy equipment there." Soyoung smiled grimly. "We'll be ready." The next morning, the Coalition's most expensive mining drill simply stopped working. The operators found that someone had replaced key components with pieces that looked identical but were slightly different. The drill would not function, and they had no spare parts. Similar incidents began happening across Earth. The Coalition's occupation was becoming more expensive every day. Equipment broke down constantly. Supply convoys disappeared. Workers went missing. The aliens found themselves spending more time fixing problems than mining resources. Sung Dashmin had been a factory worker before the war. Now he worked for the Coalition, helping to maintain their equipment. What they did not know was that he was also working for the Resistance. Every piece of machinery he touched carried a small gift from the underground. Workshop's a component that would fail at exactly the wrong moment. The humans are becoming troublesome. Vexstar admitted to his superior during their weekly communication. We're losing equipment and personnel faster than we can replace them. Are they organizing? Asked the voice from the command ship. No, sir. These appear to be isolated incidents. Desperate survivors trying to cause trouble. Nothing we cannot handle. But deep beneath the surface, Major Bei Sung-ho was organizing something much larger. The scattered resistance cells were connecting, sharing information and resources.
Wow.
Random attacks were becoming coordinated strikes. Intelligence analyst Kim Hyo-jin tracked every Coalition movement from her underground command center. She knew where every alien patrol would be, when every supply convoy would arrive, what every mining operation was planning. The aliens thought they were the hunters, but they were becoming the hunted. We're ready for the next phase, she reported to Dr. Choi Yansu. The surface teams have gathered enough equipment. The sabotage operations are weakening their infrastructure, and we've identified their key weaknesses. Dr. Choi nodded, and it's time to show them what humans are really capable of. The Coalition forces had no idea what was coming. They thought they were dealing with desperate survivors and random accidents. They had no concept of the coordinated effort building beneath their feet. The vanishing had been just the beginning. Soon, the aliens would learn the difference between a conquered people and a people who had simply chosen to fight differently. The ground beneath the Coalition mining facility opened like a mouth. Sergeant Kong So-young emerged first, her weapon already firing at the surprised alien guards. Behind her came dozens of fighters carrying guns that made the aliens freeze. In terror, these were not the primitive human weapons they remembered from the war. These were their own energy rifles, but somehow different, more powerful. Impossible, whispered the alien foreman as he watched his security team fall. Those are our weapons, but they're killing us faster than our own guns can fire. What the aliens could not understand was that the weapons had been improved. The deep laboratories beneath Earth's surface, engineer Oh Hyun-woo had spent months studying every piece of Coalition technology the surface teams brought back. He had found ways to make their weapons better, faster, more deadly. The power cells last twice as long now, he had explained to Yu Taeyeon while assembling the modified rifles, and the energy output is 30% higher. The aliens built good weapons, but they didn't build them smart. The attack on the mining facility lasted only minutes. The Coalition forces had grown lazy during the occupation, they expected. No real resistance from the broken humans. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that knew exactly how their weapons worked, and how to defeat their armor commander Vexstar. Received the report while reviewing patrol schedules in his command center. The entire mining operation is gone, sir. 43 personnel missing. All equipment destroyed or taken. How many humans attacked them? Unknown, sir. Survivors say they came from underground tunnels that weren't there before. Disappeared the same way. Vexstar studied the tactical display showing Earth's surface. Red marks indicated attack. Sites. There were dozens of them now, scattered across every continent. The pattern was becoming clear. This was not random violence. This was organized warfare. Beneath the ruins of Seoul, the massive underground complex hummed with activity. What had once been subway tunnels and basement levels had been expanded into a vast network of factories, laboratories, and living spaces. Thousands of people worked here, all of them supposed to be dead. Manufacturing specialist Yu Tae-yeon oversaw production lines that built weapons, armor, and equipment 24 hours a day. The raw materials came from Coalition facilities, stolen piece by the surface teams. The designs came from captured alien technology, improved by human engineering. We're producing 50 modified rifles per day, he reported to Major Bei Sung-ho. The new armor plating is ready for testing, and the communication jammers are working perfectly. Sung-ho nodded as he watched the production lines. What about the vehicles? Still working on those? The aliens use a different power system than we expected. but Han Jiyoung thinks she's found a solution. Communications expert Han Jiyoung had done more than find a solution. She had discovered that the Coalition's communication system had a weakness. All their messages passed through central relay stations. If those stations could be controlled, the entire network could be disrupted. We can listen to everything they say, she explained to the command staff. Better than that, we can make them hear what we want them to hear, can send false orders, create confusion, make them fight each other. The first test came during a Coalition supply convoy operation. The aliens received orders to change their route at the last minute, taking them directly into an ambush prepared by Captain Nam Woojin's team. The convoy was destroyed. But the aliens never realized they had been tricked by their own communication system, intelligence. Analyst Kim Hyojin coordinated attacks from her underground command center. She had detailed maps showing every Coalition position, every patrol route, every supply schedule. The information came from surveillance equipment hidden throughout the occupied territories. Strike Team 7. Proceed to target Alpha. She spoke into her headset. Enemy patrol will pass your position in 15 minutes. Strike Team 12, abort your mission. They've added extra guards to the facility. The coordination was perfect. While one team attacked a mining operation in Asia, another hit a supply depot in Europe. The Coalition forces found themselves fighting on multiple fronts, never knowing where the next attack would come from. Dr. Choi Yansu watched the tactical displays from the central command room. The plan was working better than she had hoped. The aliens still thought they were fighting desperate survivors. But they were actually fighting a coordinated military force with better weapons and superior intelligence. The Coalition is requesting reinforcements, reported her assistant Lee Daeho. They're pulling troops from other conquered worlds. Good, Dr. Choi replied. That means we're hurting them. How are the deep projects coming along? The manufacturing facilities are at full capacity. The research teams have made breakthroughs in energy weapons and defensive systems. And the special project is ahead of schedule. The special project was something the Coalition could never have imagined. Hidden in the deepest levels of the underground complex, human scientists were building something that would change the war completely. But that was still weeks away from completion. For now, the underground war continued. Every day brought new attacks, new victories, new evidence that humanity was far from defeated. The Coalition had conquered Earth's surface, but they had never controlled what lay beneath. The aliens were learning a hard lesson. Claiming victory was easy. Keeping it was much harder, especially when fighting an enemy that refused to stay defeated. Coalition intelligence officer Zelthek stared at the captured human data files spread across his desk. His three eyes moved quickly over the information, and with each line he read, his blood grew colder. The files had been recovered from a human base that was supposedly destroyed months ago. But these documents told a different story. This cannot be correct, he muttered to himself, checking the dates again. The files showed detailed plans for the surrender of Earth, complete with evacuation schedules and hiding places. But these plans were dated from before the final battle, not after. His aide entered the room carrying more recovered data. Sir, we found these in the ruins of the human military headquarters. They appeared to be authentic. Zelthex opened the new files and felt his stomach drop. Battle plans, equipment lists, personnel assignments, all dated weeks before Earth's surrender. The humans had been planning to lose the war. They had planned their own defeat. Get me Commander Vexstar immediately, he ordered, his voice shaking. Far beneath the Korean mountains, Project Director Lim Jun-ho walked through the vast underground hangar with pride. The space was filled with sleek fighter craft that gleamed under the artificial lights. Each ship was a masterpiece of engineering, combining human creativity with alien technology. How many are ready for flight? He asked pilot trainee Song. Degin, who was running her hands along the smooth hull of the nearest fighter. 67 combat ready, sir, she replied, her eyes bright with excitement. The new engines are incredible. These ships are faster than anything the Coalition has. Junho nodded. The ships were beautiful, but they were also deadly. Each one carried weapons that could punch through Coalition armor like paper. The aliens had built good technology, but they had never imagined it could be improved this much. Weapons. Specialist Ko Minsik was testing the new artillery in a nearby chamber. The massive guns were mounted on platforms that could be moved quickly through the tunnel system. When fired, they produced energy beams that could destroy coalition tanks with a single shot. "The power output is beyond our original calculations," he reported to Junho. "The aliens designed these weapons to be safe. We redesigned them to be effective." The revelation was spreading through the coalition command structure like a virus. Every captured human facility revealed more evidence of the deception. The surrender had been planned. The resistance was coordinated. The humans had never actually been defeated. Commander Vextar received the intelligence reports while standing in what he thought was a secured command center. The building had been a human government facility before the war. Now it housed coalition operations for the entire Asian continent. "They let us win," he said quietly, reading the files. "The humans let us win the war." His aide looked confused. "Sir, I don't understand. We destroyed their cities, their fleets, their military." "No," Vextar said, his voice growing louder. "We destroyed what they wanted us to destroy. Look at these evacuation orders. Look at these personnel lists. Everyone important was moved to safety before the final battles. They saved their best people, their best equipment, their best minds." The truth was even worse than the coalition suspected. Field Commander Park Seo-jun was coordinating resistance activities from a command center that had been built during the war, not after. His communication network reached across the entire planet, connecting with teams led by Jung Minwoo in the Americas, Shin The-yoon in Europe, and Kwon Ja-min in Asia. "All units report ready status," he announced to his staff. "The coordination is perfect. The timing is precise. We have been preparing for this moment for 8 months." Intelligence analyst Kim Hyo-jin had been tracking coalition movements since the day after the surrender. Her surveillance network was more advanced than anything the aliens possessed. She knew where every coalition commander lived, what they ate for breakfast, how many troops they had, and what their weaknesses were. "The aliens are starting to realize the truth," she reported to the command staff. "Their intelligence reports are showing panic. They're beginning to understand that they never controlled Earth at all." The coalition's worst fears were confirmed. When they found the real human battle plans, the surface war had been a delaying action designed to give the underground facilities time to prepare. Every major battle had been fought to achieve specific goals, capturing alien technology, studying enemy tactics, and identifying key targets. Admiral Ru Dong-wook had not died in the final space battle. As the coalition believed, he had been evacuated to the underground facilities, where he spent months analyzing captured alien ships and designing new fighters. His pilots, including Captain Lee Hae-young, had been training on coalition technology for the entire occupation. "Period. The fighters are ready," he reported to Dr. Choi Yeon-soo. "The pilots know the enemy ships better than the aliens do. We found weaknesses in their designs that they don't even know exist." Dr. Choi stood in the central command room, watching the tactical displays that showed the true extent of human preparation. Hidden facilities across the planet were ready to reveal themselves. Underground factories were producing weapons and equipment. Secret training centers had prepared thousands of fighters. 8 months ago, we surrendered Earth to the coalition, she announced to the assembled commanders. Today, we take it back. The revelation was complete. The coalition had not conquered Earth. They had been allowed to occupy it, while humanity prepared for the real war. The aliens were about to learn that sometimes the greatest victory can become the greatest trap. The hidden launch facilities opened across Earth's surface like flowers blooming in fast motion. Admiral Ru Dong-wook watched from his command ship as dozens of sleek fighters rose from concealed hangars that had been invisible moments before. The ships moved with deadly grace, their hulls gleaming with hybrid technology that combined human innovation with alien engineering. "All squadrons report ready," came the voice of Commander Moon Jae-won over the communication system. "Weapons are charged and targeting systems are locked." Dong-wook smiled grimly as he looked at the tactical display. The coalition fleet hung in orbit above Earth, completely unprepared for what was rising to meet them. For 8 months, they had believed they controlled the space around the planet. They were about to learn how wrong they had been. Coalition Fleet Admiral Termax was reviewing supply reports when his sensors began screaming warnings. Ships were launching from Earth's surface, not just a few, but hundreds of them. Shouldn't exist, using technology that looked familiar but somehow wrong. Where did they come from? He demanded, staring at the display in disbelief. Unknown, sir, his tactical officer replied, his voice shaking. They appear to be using our own propulsion systems, but the energy signatures are all wrong. These ships are faster than anything in our fleet. Captain Lee Hae-young led the first attack squadron, her fighter dancing between the coalition ships with movements that seemed impossible. The alien vessels were larger and more heavily armed, but they were also slow and predictable. The human ships moved like living things, striking where the enemy was weakest and disappearing before they could respond. Target their command ship, she ordered her wing. Take out their coordination, and they'll be lost. The modified weapon systems that Koa Minsik had perfected tore through coalition shields like they were made of paper. The aliens watched in horror as their most advanced defenses crumbled under the assault of their own technology, improved beyond recognition by human engineering. On the surface, General Kim Young-soo coordinated the ground assault from his command center. The massive displays showed coalition positions across the planet, all of them marked for destruction. His aide, Major Jo Yoon-ji, managed communications with resistance cells that had been waiting for this moment for months. All surface units, begin the assault, Young-soo ordered. Show them what we've been preparing. Across Earth, the hidden entrances opened and human forces emerged. These were not the desperate survivors the coalition expected. These were trained soldiers carrying advanced weapons and wearing armor that could stop alien energy beams. They moved with precision and purpose, striking at every coalition position simultaneously. The aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that knew their every weakness. The humans had spent months studying coalition tactics, equipment, and psychology. Every battle plan had been designed to exploit what the resistance had learned during the occupation. Sergeant Kang So-young led her squad through the streets of Seoul, moving toward the coalition command center. The alien soldiers they encountered were panicked and confused. Their communication systems were being jammed by equipment that Han Gyeong had perfected, leaving them isolated and unable to coordinate their defense. They're not fighting back effectively, one of her soldiers observed. It's like they don't know how to respond. It's because they don't, So-young replied, checking her modified energy rifle. They've been fighting conquered people for so long, they forgot how to fight soldiers. The coalition's response was swift and brutal. Admiral Termax, realizing that his forces were being defeated, made a desperate decision. If the coalition could not control Earth, they would destroy it completely. The order went out to all ships. Prepare for planetary bombardment. But the humans had prepared for this too. Deep in the underground facilities, Dr. Choi Yansu activated the final phase of her plan. The antimatter weapons that her team had built using coalition technology were not just defensive weapons. They were targeted at the coalition's home worlds, ready to launch if Earth was threatened with destruction. Send the message. She ordered communication specialist SEO Jun-Woo. The transmission reached every coalition ship simultaneously. The voice was calm, professional, and absolutely terrifying. Coalition forces, this is Dr. Choi Yansu speaking. For the people of Earth, we know you are considering the destruction of our planet. Before you proceed, you should know that we have antimatter weapons targeted at your home worlds. If Earth dies, your planets die with us. The silence that followed was deafening. Admiral Termax stared at his tactical display, watching the human ships dance around his fleet like predators playing with prey. The ground forces were reporting total collapse of coalition positions planet-wide. Now the humans were threatening to destroy the coalition's home worlds.
Right, sir,
his aide whispered. Long-range sensors are detecting launch signatures from Earth's surface. Multiple antimatter weapons are ready to fire. Termax closed his eyes. Coalition had conquered dozens of worlds, but they had never faced an enemy like this. The humans had turned their own technology against them, fought a war of deception. That lasted months, and now held the Coalition's entire civilization hostage. All ships, he ordered quietly, begin withdrawal from Earth space. As the Coalition fleet retreated beyond the outer system, Seo Junwoo transmitted humanity's final message. This is Earth. We are still here. We will always be here. Do not come back. The war was over. Earth had won not through superior numbers or technology, but through the one thing the Coalition could never understand: the absolute refusal to surrender when survival was at stake.